Hey guys, Scott Toy Guru Neitlich for Spector Creative here, and I want to talk about the kind of the future of Star Wars toy collecting a bit today because, well, it's sort of the one of those worst kept secrets in the toy industry that Hasbro is very much focusing, as far as call it the 3 3/4 line, the vintage series, on what's called world building or set pieces, is what kind of the toy industry calls it, meaning sort of play sets and items that don't really have play value, like call it like a web cannon, right? It has play value because it can launch a missile and it can be, the figure can grip it and clip into its hands. So that's the type of accessory that's considered having play value, like for a deluxe figure, if you will, the kind of things you get. Things that are set pieces are less interactive. We have had things that have might qualify as set pieces, things like Luke's Bacta tank, although even that had an action feature. When you blew on the little straw, it made bubbles. Or, Han's torture rack. But again, it had articulation, it moved, it's kind of like, a weapon in a way. Han was strapped to a weapon. But what we're getting now is very different. Now we are getting, just look at the Cantina that's coming on HasLab next year, or it will ship next year. All it is set pieces. It's a bar. It's a dollhouse in bar form, if you will, or a diorama in bar form. You're getting tables and chairs. There's no play value there, except for maybe Ponda Baba knocking one over, but otherwise there's really not any action in the Cantina, minus one arm dismemberment. Most of it is just people sitting around and talking. What makes it interesting is the people sitting around talking are crazy looking and, aliens and stuff. Do I have any Cantina aliens? I don't. I have Admiral Akbar here. He'll have to count. Wait, nope, I have... nope, there we go. My vintage walrus man. What do you think? This is actually my walrus man from when I was a kid. He's had a lot of playtime. All right. So that's what I mean by the difference between a deluxe accessory and a set piece, or at least that's what the toy industry would refer to it as. So they would call like those tables and chairs set pieces, and things. Dollhouses come with set pieces. Play sets come with action accessories. Cannons that blast, hooks that did become ropes, that kind of thing. So I made a whole video about the difference between dollhouses and action play sets, but what's exciting, I suppose, for 3 3/4 collectors is while there are not as many characters left to do, except for, there'll always be new characters, but really we want the old ones, especially from the original trilogy. When's the last time we had an original Cantina alien that we'd never gotten before, like Mosep in 2015? That's crazy. It's almost been 10 years since we've gotten an original alien that had never been done before. But that's also because there's not that many left. So now we're getting a lot of repeats, like, we're getting a new Luke next year, a new Han, a new Obi-Wan. We just got a new Hope Leia, new Vader, R2. But that's good because the main characters are what sell the best. And for us long-term collectors, while we liked acquiring character after character after character over the years, now we're at the point that, okay, well, we need a place to display them. And it's obvious. What's nice is Hasbro has done testing on this now, and they are officially looking at set pieces as kind of the future of the adult collector market, which I think has both good and bad outcomes, which I want to discuss, which is what we're discussing. Hey, it's like we're talking about us, talking about us, talking about us. It's so meta. So as a collector, yeah, I think set pieces are great. I'm excited to get a bar that I can put my figures around, but my concern is when there are exclusive figures with that. Case in point, the Cantina. Yes, I'm getting a Cantina, but if I wasn't and you wanted the Tonica sisters, you're out of luck. I had thought originally those figures were going to be only exclusive as far as the packaging to the Cantina, but it looks like they're not going to be offered individually, or at least they haven't been offered individually yet. Maybe they will. They'll wait a year. I hope they do. And I hope that it's the packaging that makes figures unique when you buy set pieces or entire sets. Because there's a lot more people who collect the figures than collect giant $400 sets. It's great to have one, but it's not for everyone. I passed on the sail barge. It wasn't a set piece that I was interested in, but the Cantina was. Which brings up 2 points. One, what set pieces are we most interested in? now that we know that this is going to be Hasbro's focus? And two, how should they handle pack and figures? So here's my thoughts. Again, it's the worst kept secret in the toy industry that next year's HasLab is going to be the Death Star. Hasbro's been trying to work on a Death Star playset literally for decades. There's been so many prototypes shown at Toy Fair, but there can never seem to be a retail buyer because it's so big. I think what everyone's most curious about is how they tackle it. Will be Death Star 1, Death Star 2, a combination of the two, meaning a trash compactor plus a throne room. We'll see. I'm not as interested in owning a Death Star as I am the Cantina, but what I don't even say afraid of, but we know that there's one vintage figure fans really want is Simalu, which is the final Imperial dignitary. If they, like the Tonica sisters, made him exclusive to a Death Star $400 playset, and I felt like I had to buy a $400 playset to get a figure to complete my collection, that's a tough pill to swallow. The Cantina would have been as well if I hadn't already been excited to buy a Cantina for years. So, again, I thought, Tonica Sisters and Greedo, those figures that came with the HasLab were going to be package variants only, like the ones that came with the Razor Crest or the Ghost. The figure wasn't exclusive, it was the packaging. Again, maybe that'll still be the case, and I think that's the right way to go, because denying figure-only collectors a character that's a pack-in with something that's several $100s, I feel like that's a tough thing for people who have been figure-only collectors for decades to now learn that the only way they can get a set is by investing several hundred. Really, I think the last time we had this was with the Naboo fighter, which was $100. That was the only time I remember having to spend that much money for a pack-in figure, because at that time I was really into collecting R2 units, and I loved that little red R2 unit and really wanted it. Should have realized they're going to remake that figure 100 times. Doesn't matter. The Naboo fighter was a huge, fun toy to play with, and I'm glad I bought it. But that's the most I think I've ever spent on a ship, or what I always think of as an accessory to get a pack-in figure. $400 playsets, pack-in figure, keep the packaging. All right. So with that, I think the questions are as Hasbro is finishing up getting, they're finishing the development of a Death Star playset for HasLab. How would you like to see them tackle it? Conference room, landing bay, Death Star 1, Death Star 2. Is it a combo of them both? And like I said, how would you want them to handle the figures? And then two, what other set pieces? And honestly, I'd like to see smaller ones. It's great to have the giant Cantina. It'll be great to have a Death Star, but I'd love to see Dagobah. I think the Dagobah Kenner set was one of the best play sets ever. I could do a whole video just on how great it was with all the features, with the swamp and the floating boxes. And I didn't even realize till later when I was like a teenager, and I think it broke or at least it separated, and I didn't realize how much was sculpted inside, because you couldn't really see inside. Plus, it's got the name Emily hidden on a log. That was the daughter of the sculptor. Sculpted his daughter's name into the moss, just to get credit. Anyway, point being is I'd love to see a Dagobah set piece. I think that would be great. But what else? I mean, what else would, other than these hallways we keep getting, we've gotten a Tanaviv hallway, and we've gotten a Moff Gideon hallway. I mean, I could see us getting a Cloud City hallway or a Jabba's Palace hallway that you could, add on. They're doing the Streets of Mos Eisley, which is basically an outdoor hallway. So, are we down to hallways? Would an Echo base or Yavin control room? I think a Yavin ceremony room would be awesome, because you could just have the dais and then maybe a thin strip that goes down the middle that's for Han and Chewie and Luke to walk along, and then you just populate the rest of it with thousands and thousands of rebels. Could be cool. We could get our Bob Hoskins figure. Actually, we can't. The actor won't let us. He put that in his will. That's not important. The point being is I think that Yavin ceremony, that would be a cool set piece. Being able to recreate that final moment from A New Hope. But otherwise, they've done the Jedi Temple Council. There's been a snap together piece, but I guess they could redo that for the prequels. I'm curious, other than like a Hoth Trench, or they just did the speeder or the Endor bunker. So we're getting a lot more of these. The Armory from the Mandalorian is probably the best example of what we can look for in the future as far as kind of a plussed up figure with accessories, is a mini diorama. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what accessories like that would you like to see, because I'm really curious, because I think this is what Hasbro's focus is going to be going forward. So what better place to brainstorm than right here? So let me know in the comments. As always, thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing. It's the best way to support this channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.